Velazquez, Miss Teen All American 2025, and this is my interview with the Pageant Project.
Good evening, everyone. It's Adrian from the Pageant Project. My guest for this evening is Noelia Velazquez. I just found out how to pronounce her name correctly, who's Miss Teen All American 2025. I will say hello to Noelia in a sec, but let me just read out her bio in case you are unaware of who she is. So she's from Greenville, North Carolina, and is a reigning Miss Teen All American. She is currently a rising junior at High Point University, where she is pursuing a bachelor's degree in entrepreneurship. On campus, she serves as the vice president for the class of 2028, social media ambassador, director of social media for Alpha Gamma Delta, 2024 cohort representative for the LIFT Fellowship Program, and an anchor for HPU Vision, the university's student-led news program. Noelia began her community work at just 11 years old, helping hurricane victims in Puerto Rico, which has now evolved into her now internationally recognized platform, Girls Strong by Noe. Through this initiative, she has led over 50 workshops locally, nationally, and internationally, encouraging young girls to lead with confidence, compassion, and resilience. With strengths in public speaking, storytelling, and leadership, Noelia brings energy, empathy, and impact to every project she takes on. She is especially passionate about mental health advocacy, female empowerment, and using her social media platform as a tool for change. Outside of the spotlight, Noelia loves fashion, traveling, connecting with new people, and filming podcast episodes with empowering women of all backgrounds for her Instagram series, Girl Talk by Noe. Her ultimate goal is to own her own couture dress store. Okay, I got through that. Did I miss anything, Noe? Welcome to the show.
No, you did not, and thank you for that very warm welcome. I'm excited to be here.
What don't you do?
Honestly, I don't know. I feel like my schedule is always full, and the only reason I'm organized and I'm able to do all of that is because I have a great Apple Calendar.
Oh, okay. What? So you use Apple Calendar? I didn't know Apple had a calendar.
Yes.
Everyone else uses Google. You use Apple, so you're different.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm definitely different. I know every time I pull on my Apple Calendar, people are like, "Why do you use that? It's always Google." I'm like, "Listen, it's been like this. It's going to stay like this. It keeps me organized." So.
Okay. All right. As a Google Calendar user, sell me on the Apple Calendar. What are the benefits of the Apple Calendar?
Honestly, I think it's the reason why I use it is because I just open it up on my phone, and ever since I became super organized with my schedule, I kind of just use it the same way. I like it because I set reminders for like 15 or 30 minutes before I have to leave for something, as well as I put all of my classes on there when I'm at school, and I can plan them out to end and start at a certain date, which I'm sure the Google Calendar does as well. I just, again, started using the Apple one, and I hesitate to switch over because I have so many things on my Apple Calendar.
Yeah, that's fair. Let me paint a bleak picture for you. What happened if your Apple Calendar disappeared tomorrow? What would you do? Like, how lost would you be if you lost everything that was in your calendar?
I feel like I have a good brain, so I think I would go off my brain. Like, there's certain things I don't put on my calendar that I can automatically just remember. So I don't think I'd be super lost. I have great memory, but I probably would hop on Google Calendar and immediately put everything in there.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Why don't we start at the beginning? Why don't you tell everyone how you got into pageantry to begin with?
So my sister is actually the reason I got into pageantry. In 2015, she decided to do Distinguished Young Women. Have you ever heard of that pageant? It's not a pageant, it's more considered a scholarship program. And she actually won for our county in my town in North Carolina. And she went to the state competition and she really loved it. It was kind of like Miss America with talent, fitness, and onstage question and formal wear gown. So it was a little similar to that. But then we got a letter in the mail for National American Miss. I'm sure you've heard of that organization and the letters they send. Most every girl finds out of the pageant through a letter. And so my sister signed up since she was already used to, the flow of competition. And I was about 9 years old. My mom and my sister and I went to the open call in my hometown, and I loved it. I loved it so much that I begged my mom to sign me up, and both me and my sister did National American Miss in 2016. She ended up placing. I did not, but she did not like it and I did. So I stuck with it. And my parents were kind of just telling me at the time I was an extremely competitive gymnast. And that was my life. It was school and gymnastics. My parents thought it was kind of a fun 1 year thing I could do, one time a year thing in the summer times for me to look forward. And also, they saw how many girls grew up in pageantry and were so poised and able to speak on stage. So
Yeah.
they really enjoyed that. I kept going back to NAM every single summer. And finally, I won the North Carolina title for preteen in 2018. And I went to nationals. And eventually, my pageant journey unfolded into winning National American Miss Junior Teen in 2021. After I gave up my title, I decided to try out RPM and the Miss Teen USA organization. I fell in love with the RPM family, competed with them for 2 years, and then immediately switched over with them when they opened up or announced that they were going to do Miss Teen All American.
Right. Someone needs to tell me who's familiar with NAM how NAM manages to send out all. Everyone seems to. I don't know if it's just recently. Everyone seems to have gotten. Is it a postcard that you guys
It's
get
a
in the mail?
letter. It's a letter that kind of says like we want you to compete or we think you would be a great fit. And it's a great marketing tactic. It's really what has given them a lot of great numbers and girls throughout the years. A lot of people start NAM because again of the letter, but it's mostly because someone that goes to National American Miss will write you down for a letter of recommendation and then the national office will send it out. So one of my good friends wrote me down when she went and she told me all about it, and that's kind of how we got introduced to it and how
Right.
we were more convinced to do it because then we
Yeah.
know someone that has done it. We can ask questions. And yeah, I think almost everyone has received a letter in the mail. It's super awesome.
It's kind of cool that someone actually still uses old school, in
Hmm.
the post box, in the letterbox, kind of here's a thing,
Yeah.
rather than getting a DM request. I like that.
I
It
think that's
stands
what
out.
makes it so special, honestly, and why we were so intrigued about it.
That's what got you into pageants. What
Hmm.
kept you in pageants? Like, what was it that you loved? Was it the fashion? Was it being on stage? Was it getting to talk? What most kept you in pageants?
I think it was just the experience itself. When I went to National American Miss Nationals for the first time, it was a whole week. I was not used to going away from gymnastics for a week to do something else. And when I got there, I met my best friend, Taylor Owen, who was Miss Georgia preteen. And we spent all week together and I made so many friends through it. So I think it was just the people I met, they were a lot like me. I actually did online school for 6 years of my life because of how competitive I was in gymnastics. So
Yep.
this was a great moment for me to socialize, and I really met a lot of girls who thought like me, who wanted to do similar things like me, and that really made me feel so connected in a community that I wanted to belong to, and I felt so belonging in. Mhm.
It's 6 years online because it's the one thing you didn't mention is gymnastics. If you are doing online school for 6 years, how serious was your gymnastics? That's almost like training for the Olympics.
I pretty much was training for the Olympics, and for a moment, I was training with the Puerto Rican national gymnastics team in
Wow.
2021. Actually, when I won National American Miss Junior Teen, and I was in the gym, I would say 25 to 30 hours a week
Yep.
at just 12 years old. It was my dream, my hope to be an Olympic gymnast. And the reason I didn't include it in my bio is because I feel like it's been so long since I touched, the bars or the beam. But in 2022, I got a career ending hip injury that ended up, just taking away my ability to do gymnastics. And honestly, pageantry was there for me in that moment with that national title. It filled, my time that I would have been spending in the gym with opportunities such as volunteering, going to a state pageant. And that's really what made me keep going in pageantry as a teen. Sorry, my AirPod's falling out. I'm going to put the other one in too.
No, no. So you can probably disconnect the AirPods, and we can just chat without them if that's easier.
Okay,
Um,
I'll try this one. If it
when
falls out, then I'll take out the other one.
Yeah, no, it's all good. When you had that hip injury, how old were you? Because anyone who's been training for
Yeah.
anything and their identity is wrapped up in your,
Mhm.
oh, I'm a gymnast, I'm a ballerina. And when that stops, it can be really difficult. It's even harder when you've been training at that level and you're so young when it's kind of taken away. How old were you when that injury happened?
Yeah, I was 15 years old, and I remember the exact moment when it happened. I'd recently told my coach that I got the opportunity to be a part of the Puerto Rican national gymnastics team. That was my dream. My whole life was to represent Puerto Rico in the Olympics, be the first Puerto Rican gymnast to win a gold medal, and I felt like my dreams were finally coming true. I got on the beam that day. I was going in just for a quick session because I was actually planning to go to like a football game or something fun that night. and I hopped on the beam. I don't think I warmed up that well. I did a front aerial and I just felt my hip kind of go out of place a little bit. I actually eventually ended up realizing that it's subluxated, so almost a full dislocation. But with that, it tore my labrum. And then my other labrum was torn as well. I found that out a few years later. But then through that torn labrum, when I was training in Puerto Rico, I went to a hip specialist. And he told me that I was born with hip dysplasia, which basically means my hips were
Right.
formed a little differently than everyone else.
Yeah.
And that's actually what made me such a good gymnast. So, even though it hurt my career, it also is what gave me my career. So, yeah, I have hip dysplasia and I would have to get an intense surgery to be able to do gymnastics without any pain, as well as have those torn labrums fixed and clean up.
I had a student because I was a tennis coach, and she was a diver training for the Olympics team over here in Australia. Well, on the track too, and she was training along with a gymnast, and I think she came off the uneven bars, and there's supposed to be a foam pit. I'm sure you guys have that, and there's supposed to be nothing in the foam pit. Someone had left, I think, a vault horse or something in the foam pit. She didn't know. She put neck first into it and broke her neck. She was actually lucky to get out alive. She had to have a spinal fusion, and then she ended up training tennis with me. But it's difficult at that age, right? I mean, that must have taught you a lot about resilience and moving forward when the dream you've been training for so long, suddenly it's taken away from you.
Yeah. There was a lot of tears, and that day when the doctor told me I wasn't even with my parents, because I was actually living with my grandparents, so that my parents could still work at home because they live in the States, but my grandparents live there. So I lived with them, and I just remember being with my grandparents and breaking down in tears because I had no idea what to do. Do I try and get a surgery, recover for 2 years, and lose my eligibility for college, lose my, peak moment for the Pan American Games or for the Olympic Games? And when you're 15 years old, I know it sounds like I'm really young, but that is honestly the peak moment in gymnastics where you
Gymnasts, yeah.
develop, and it's make it or break it. Because usually girls who go to the Olympics, I mean, Simone Biles was older. She has proved that we can probably do it longer.
She's
But
the exception, though.
she's also the
She's
best.
different. Right?
She's also the best. But usually when you're around 15 to 18 is probably your peak, just because your body is almost done growing, not fully done growing. You're not super tall yet, but yeah, it was devastating because I had this whole dream in front of me. I spent literally my whole life. I didn't go to school. I did online school because of it. And now I had nothing. And I think my mom reminded me in that time what I had, which was my public speaking abilities, my love for pageantry, and my love for initiative. And that's where kind of my Girl Strong took off. I started doing my podcast, being more involved with community service. And again, since I had that national title, I had something to keep me busy. And funny enough, she actually put me into tennis when I came back from Puerto Rico. And I had fun with that because she knew I was so competitive and athletic that I still needed kind of that drive for a little bit. And I really did like tennis. I was good at it. So.
Okay. I don't want to sound terrible, okay? But were you actually good at it? And the reason I ask is because I trained a lot of girls. I was the head coach at an all-girls school. And you could always tell who the gymnasts were because everything like power generation, they'd always be balanced, poised, but they kind of had problems with hand-eye coordination. It wouldn't be unkind to see, a gymnast swing, miss, and then bounce the ball off her face. If you actually had the hand-eye coordination, that's actually rare.
Yeah, so when it came to tennis, I felt like it was easier. I have a harder time in pickleball because the racket is smaller. So when it comes to the hand-eye coordination, I feel like I miss it more likely than tennis. The racket is quite a bit bigger. So I felt like even if I was a little short, I could still get it on the racket. But that was the biggest issue I had. I didn't have an issue getting up to the ball or moving around because, again, I was super athletic. But I've always said I was not made for any sports with any, flying objects. I was meant to do the movement, and that's why I was a gymnast. But I enjoyed tennis, and I was pretty good at it for starting it at 15, but I ended up kind of just weaning off and just working out after that.
Working as a gymnast, you spend so much time in the gym, and you're so disciplined. I remember seeing the gymnasts who would come to school. And I just wished I could get the tennis players to train as hard and as many times
Yeah.
per week as a gymnast would. Because I think for you guys, it's just assumed, yes, this is the way it's done. But I don't like
Exactly.
for other for tennis that wasn't the case. Like coming in once a week, I'd be lucky. And I thought if I could get the tennis players to train as hard as you gymnasts train, they'd be at Wimbledon right now. But was it hard to sort of adjust from having such a, let's say, a structured timetable where I'm in the gym, I'm in the gym, I'm in the gym, to what do I do now?
Definitely. And when you're growing up, just constantly something's keeping you busy. When you stop, you feel empty because you're always used to
Yeah,
moving. And that was something gymnastics and the discipline was just built into me. So it's kind of all I knew. And when I stopped, I just had no choice, I feel like, but to keep myself as involved. And
yeah,
I mean, you were reading my bio, and I even was like, I do all of that. Like, I think
yeah,
it's just something like I constantly have to keep moving because gymnastics for 4 hours, there was no phone, no anything. I had to work out, warm up for each event, do a certain amount in a certain amount of time, a certain amount of routines in like 30
yeah,
minutes. So, I'm constantly talking to myself. And I think that's the good part that gymnastics told me is like, I
yeah.
can motivate myself enough to be like, listen, you have to get this done, or
Nice.
you cannot wait. So I think it's a good thing that I learned, but I am too much of a perfectionist, and I've learned to slow down and take time. It's okay to do nothing for a few hours. It's okay to watch your
Wow.
favorite TV
Okay.
show. So it's hard for me. I get very antsy.
Yeah, yeah. I can tell you that gymnastics, ballet, pageantry, it all
Hmm.
tends to attract perfectionists to it. Just before I move on, what was your favorite apparatus and what was your favorite skill?
I would say I was best at beam.
Yeah,
I had a love and hate relationship with it because it is only 4 inches wide.
yeah,
And so, you would slip and fall, and when you slip and fall, it hurts. But I loved side aerials, front aerials, back handspring, back layouts. And I mean, sad enough, I hurt myself on one of my favorite skills, which was the front aerial. But I dream of doing gymnastics all the time, and it's my favorite. But I would say, other than beam, probably floor, because there's just so
yeah.
much you can do on it between turns, jumps, front, back, front tumbling, back tumbling, and I could do a lot on the floor. So I loved it.
I never understood how you guys could like flip forward. I could kind of mechanically understand
Yeah.
backwards, great, got that. But it's a flipping forward. When you see people able to nail like layouts going forwards,
Yes.
I have no idea how you guys do that.
It's just momentum. I think it's all in how you set yourself up for the front handspring, which is basically like a front walkover, but your
Yeah.
legs come together and then you bounce. That is kind of the only way, or you just jump straight into like a front layout or front full and connect it. The hardest part was connecting like a front flip to another front flip, and that takes
Yeah.
time, but once you get it, it's really fun. And I really liked it.
Can you bust out any of those moves anymore?
I tried the other day, funny enough. I used to have those air tracks that were really
Yeah.
popular in like 2018, 2020, and I had my really long one. And I told my mom, I was like, I'm just gonna try. I feel like I feel antsy right now because I had nothing to do. I was like, I'm gonna try to just see if I can do it. And I threw a back handspring
Huh.
and my arms just gave out. I was like, oh my gosh, this is not how I remember it. I am not 15 years old anymore. I have not trained like this. So I tried a few more and then I was extremely sore the next day. Yeah.
Okay, so other people get bored and they read a book. You get bored and you're doing backhand springs in your backyard, landing on. Yeah, okay.
Hmm.
We're not built the same at all. What was it like your? Because last year for Miss All American and Miss Teen All American, I know it was a revival of sorts, but in its current
Yeah.
format, last year was also the first year, correct?
Hmm. Yes,
Okay.
correct.
So one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you was I wanted to get more information out there and help build the name for All American.
Yeah.
So run us through what you can. I know it's probably almost a year to the date, and
Yeah.
maybe like many other people, when you win, you black out. I don't know, but run
Hmm.
us through what your time at Miss All American and Miss Teen All American was like last year.
Yes. So it first started, the reason I even gained interest was because I'd competed with the RPM system or their pageants before. When they announced January 1st that they were doing Miss Teen All American and that it was revival. So basically, what we mean by the revival is that it was a pageant created in the 70s and had very iconic winners like Halle Berry, who is now
Mm.
a famous actress, as well as Shannon Moakler, who then went on to compete in the USA system, and a lot more other successful women. So when I looked at that, immediately I was intrigued because I knew that I had competed with RPM. I knew how they ran their system, and I knew that they did a great job in terms of production, their queens, how they treated everyone. And then seeing that combined with Miss Teen All American, their history, I was
Mm.
instantly sold. I felt right at home, and I knew a lot of people were nervous because they're like, it's the first year. But for me, I knew exactly what to expect. Obviously, not everything, but I felt very comfortable. And I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? It's my last year as a teen. I'm going to age out after this. But why don't we just do it? Something just felt right about it. So I got there to Charleston like a day or two early. We're not too far away. So we decided to settle down. And the city is just beautiful. So I think it's probably one of the most best places to visit and also have a pageant at because it's a great city and full of life. But the next day when we checked in, I saw Miss Paula, and funny enough, we were both wearing yellow. And she just remembered me, took a photo with me, took time to ask me how my life was doing since last year, since we last talked. And I thought that was so important because sometimes you don't even see a director, they're too busy. And
Yeah.
I thought it was great that she sat down, said hi to every girl, stuff like that, took time to talk to every single person. She truly does care. And that made me feel like, yes, I chose the right pageant to compete in this summer. Um, Later on, we went to the welcome ceremony, which was on a huge USS boat. I thought that was so, I've never seen a pageant do that before, have any
Yeah.
event on a boat. And immediately, my mom got a ticket too. We saw people with their siblings, their family, their friends. And I thought it was so beautiful that a pageant was bringing together this event, first of all, on a boat, but also allowing family to come and have this night with
Yeah.
their contestants. I feel
Yeah.
like there's only so many moments in a pageant where your family can be involved. And it was beautiful that they did. My mom loved it because she's always, been super supportive of me. So we took tons of pictures, had a great time, and my mom got to meet other pageant moms and other parents that she connected with. So again,
Yeah.
it was just like literally worth the experience of going all the way down there with my mom, having her come with me. But as the week went on, like everything felt so familiar. The rehearsals were great, instructions were clear. Like I never felt lost with what I was doing. And when I walked into the interview, I was just so excited to be there because we got to create our own reel. I don't know if you saw that, but it was kind of like an Instagram, TikTok reel that introduced who you were. And for
Yeah.
me, I really love reporting. I am doing the HPL All Access anchor stuff. So I was like, I'm just going to report like I'm reporting on me. So I had so much fun
Yeah.
with the reel. I did like a little intro video. I'm like, this is Noelia Velazquez talking about myself. It was kind of funny. And then we showed like just different things that I'm doing in my life. And I loved it. And then the judges went right into my interview and everything felt so natural. I don't know what it is,
Mhm.
but I think when you let go of all of the stress and just know that you already have the answers inside of you, your interview goes great. And I felt like that was my winning moment. When I walked
Right.
out, I felt so confident. I think interview was so important. But then that night, finals was that night, and I just had the best time. Me and the top five backstage prayed together, talked together. It truly felt like such a sisterhood. I know a lot of
Mhm.
people get really in their head and competitive, but I loved that literally all the girls in the top five, top 10, even the girls that hadn't made it, were coming back and being like, hey, you got this, you can do this. It was so supportive. And I think that was a great thing for the first pageant. Tim Tialdo's amazing. He prayed with us before the curtains opened. It brought us together. It's not just about the girls. Oh, yes, we all have to compete. Everyone get in their mindset. No one talk to each other. It was a fun night. We were just supporting each other. And when I won,
Yeah.
I mean, I think I blanked out, but at the same time, I can still remember it because
Yeah.
I immediately looked at all the judges and they were so excited for me winning. And I was so excited. And I felt like I was honored to continue this legacy that was before, but also
Yeah.
super excited because this was the new era of it. And so I'm
Yeah.
kind of sandwiched in the middle of bringing, the honoring the old Miss Teen All American, what it was, but also bringing in the new aspect of it being RPM, a little bit different. So it was definitely an overwhelming experience. I know that was a long answer, but the pageant experience was unlike anything else.
I know there's more than a few people out there who want me to ask this question, so I'll get it out of
Yeah.
the way. Do you have any tips for those competing this year?
Honestly, I think the best thing you can do is get out of your head. And words of affirmation are the best way I did that. Anytime I was thinking like, "Oh, I'm not ready. I'm way too nervous to go on stage." I use this thing called a word flip. So if I notice
Mhm.
I'm saying something negative, I have to go, "Okay, no. Now I have to say the opposite, the positive
Yeah.
of it." So I'm going to slip, "Nope, I'm ready. I already cut my heels up with scissors," kind of reassuring myself, "I'm not going to slip. I did perfect last night in prelim. This isn't going to happen. And you know what? If it is, it's going to be okay." So just kind of that reassuringness. And I feel like I just let go in that moment every time I reassured myself and really had the best time. Sometimes I feel like I'm not super present at a pageant when I feel like
Mhm.
I'm way too in my head. I'm coaching myself through it. But this time I was like, I love my dress. I'm just going to have fun with this. Again, it's my last year in teen. Just enjoy it, because I'd also worked extremely hard to get to that moment for me. My
Yeah.
freshman year of college was really hard. I had gained almost 30 pounds and I was not happy where I was at. So when I came home, I worked for almost 3 months to get myself back with my confidence, with the way I wanted to look. And now for me competing, it was the enjoyment aspect. So again, remember what you're doing it for and also enjoy, because every girl works extremely hard to be there. So remember that you worked hard. Now it's the part of just enjoying it.
I just want to ask about competing and
Mhm.
being present. How much of that would you attribute to your career as a competitive gymnast? Because I know that when you're competing as a gymnast and you're flipping at 100 miles through the air,
Mhm.
being present is also something that's probably going to serve you well there. Were you able to stay present and have words of affirmation when you were competing as a gymnast, or is that something you learned after and you started in pageants?
Yeah, so I had a really hard time with mental blocks, and that's kind of
Yeah.
where your brain shuts off or you're speaking super negatively. So I actually saw a sports psychiatrist, and she's the one that
Right.
taught me the word flip. And I actually talk about it in my Girl Strong workshops because it is so important to me. It reminded me and it really helped me as a gymnast because, again, I would get so in my head that I would literally shut down, not be able to do anything. And using those
Mm.
word flips, using those affirmations did help me be more present. And every single time I used them, I was able to perform well. So immediately when I stopped gymnastics and I, put my focus into pageantry and all these different things, I used those techniques, and it was much easier this time because with all of that
Yeah.
practice, it kind of just kicked in into pageantry.
Paint the picture, Noe, for everyone who's watching and would like to take over your crown when when you hand it over in a couple of weeks. What has your year as the title holder been like?
It's been honestly a discovery, if you can understand what I'm saying there, because again, this was the first year with RPM, and I remember sitting down the next day after I won, and they looked at us and they said, "You're in it with us. This is our first year. What you
Mm.
guys want to do it. We don't have any limitations because we really just, you guys were chosen for a reason. Let us help you with whatever you need, but we're going to go with it together as we go." And I loved that because I feel like a lot of times with pageants, it's extremely structured. Like, oh no, you have to do this, you have to do that. And I loved how they had asked me what I wanted to do, what my goals were, and they took that. So one of my goals was to attend either like a movie premiere or go on a red carpet. And we actually got to see the documentary of it was a Netflix documentary, a short documentary about children that had been lost to gun
Mm.
violence and school violence. And I believe it's called
Right.
All the Empty Rooms. And we went to New York specifically for it. And I love that it was such a purposeful movie and or documentary and something everyone needs to see. But not only that, I got to meet the journalist that started the
Wow.
initiative of interviewing
Right.
these parents. And it wasn't just like we were going to just have fun. It was so purposeful and really changed my perspective on a lot of different things. And I really loved that aspect. But another thing was, example, our relationship with Smile Train. We traveled to Colombia, and I actually speak Spanish, so I loved the trip because I was able to connect with all the little girls we met. And one of my favorite things was holding this 5-month-old baby right before he went into his life changing surgery for his cleft lip. And honestly, in that moment, it really puts the emphasis of why we do this, right? Why
Mm.
pageantry? Because pageantry has a purpose, and being in like real life after supporting Smile Train and doing all these things and learning about it, but actually seeing like the baby and the surgery come to fruition and seeing the baby
Yeah.
after surgery too was incredible. I mean, everything was such a real life experience that I could not explain it more. It was in detail, but it was such a great year again, discovering just what the system is about, myself as well. I've had a great time, and I really feel like Paula and Ryan have helped me to develop into the woman I am and what I want to do and who I want to be.
And how did you end up in France?
That was the pageant. The pageant actually had it as part of our prize package when we won, that we would get a free trip to Paris. And I mean, that was just literally the cherry on top for me. I got to escape from school for a few days, actually, right before finals, which was amazing. So, I was relaxed in Paris right before my finals, but we went to Paris. It was the best experience ever. I really got to just, not just serving, but also the aspect of the like luxury pageant style of being able to dress up, going to the Eiffel Tower, taking photos, and Sherry Hill dresses. I mean, that photo shoot was incredible. I wish everyone could have seen it with their own eyes, because when you get to the front of the Eiffel Tower, that view in the morning when no one is there, it is surreal. And it doesn't
Yeah.
feel touristy anymore. It feels like you're just seeing the city through, blank eyes. And it was amazing. That trip was everything I could have imagined and more. And I really thought they put every single detail into it. Um, Again, I loved spending time with McKinley. Me and her are extremely close because we were both in college. So we've had a lot to relate to and talk about. And she was right before her finals too. So we were both like, thank God we get to get away for a weekend and just have this fun time of taking photos and just spending like a family time together almost with Miss
Yeah.
Paula and
Yeah.
Ryan.
Did you enjoy any of the French food or French coffee? Or, I mean, tell me about the food situation.
We ate at a lot of different restaurants. I loved our dinner on the scene. So basically, we took this boat that served us just a ton of different dishes. There was one soup I can't remember, but it was very good. And I think it was just kind of like a vegetable soup, but it was awesome. I definitely brought like 18 macaroons home from the airport. Yeah,
Right.
I love macaroons. So I was really excited. I was in the land of macaroons. But that dinner on the scene was beautiful because I mean, every building we passed by was just lit up. There was music playing. There was actually this woman singing live. So it was, I
Wow.
mean, I would go
Mm.
back and do it again. It was such a beautiful kind of breaking down moment. I got to share a meal with my directors and August's mom, which she's awesome. So our junior's mom was there, and she was kind of like our mom for the weekend, taking photos of us. And again, just like a real pageantry moment. No
Yeah.
glam, no anything, just enjoying that moment of the title I won and also the experience that I get with it.
Sounds like you've had a good time over the
Yes,
last 12 months.
yes.
That's good to see. Tell the people watching more about Girl Strong. Girl Strong by Noe.
Yeah, so it's an initiative I created when I was 11 years old. And the whole reason it started, you read it in my bio, was basically, again, my family's from Puerto Rico. I love it. I go almost once or twice a year. It's my favorite place to be. It's who I am. It's my blood. And in 2018, two huge hurricanes passed in Puerto Rico, Hurricane Irma and Maria, and they were both Category 5 and Category 4 hurricanes. And if you're not from the South or the Caribbean, you may not know, but that is a really big deal. And 100% of the island lost power. So I was FaceTiming my cousins who lived there. They weren't able to go to school. No one was able to get gas. They couldn't leave their homes. They had no light, no air conditioning, and limited access to food. Everyone in the island was struggling. So seeing that and seeing how I was about to approach my 11th birthday, planning a birthday party, it just did not feel right. So I went to my
Mm.
mom and I was saying, could I just ask my friends to bring money or things to donate to my birthday? I don't want gifts. Like it just didn't feel right to see my cousins not be able
Yeah.
to live how they should be. So she was like, okay, well, maybe we could start a fundraiser. So I started fundraising. I went to everyone I knew. My parents put it in their office. I was sending it or putting it on social media, Puerto Rico Strong, and we found this organization. So we started raising money to rebuild a high school in a low poverty area of Puerto Rico. And eventually I raised $8,000 as an 11-year-old. I felt very accomplished. And my trip or my gift for my birthday was that my parents surprised me with going to Puerto Rico for Christmas. So I could see the devastation firsthand and understand why I'm giving $8,000 or why I raised this much money. Right? So that day, when we got to Puerto Rico, we went into the neighborhood that we were donating the money to, and we went door to door giving supplies, deodorant, phones, everything you could imagine. We were just giving it out just so that people still didn't have resources. 2 months later, it was that hard. So I really just kind of it broke down my walls of what reality really is and what other
Yeah.
people's reality looks like. And so from there, I just really wanted to keep doing that sort of those sort of things. I actually ended up like running a 1K or a 5K, and I ended up raising $1,000 for a children's hospital. And I got passionate about community service. So my mom was like, "We should just put a name to this because then you can
Mm.
kind of track everything you're doing, and also other kids on social media with their parents can also get curious, right? How can I help? Or I have a friend that may be going through something. How can I help them, right?"
Yeah.
So Girl Strong was created there, and I created little Girl Strong Sunday videos, which were advice videos. So would talk about mental health, reading a book, clearing your mind, friendship, all of those things that a 12-year-old wants to talk about, right? Like those not as easy things, but still things that
Yeah.
are current in my life. That evolved into creating my workshops where I would go to, either girls and boys clubs, schools, or pageants, and I would talk about confidence, the importance of words, how we speak to ourselves, and how that affects other people as well, our words. And
Yeah.
I've done almost 60 workshops now today, which I'm super proud about. And then
Right.
lastly, I created my Girl Talk, which is my podcast. I love interviewing people. I'm actually I have a blast just talking. It's my thing. So, yeah, I created that, and I've been able to interview women of all different backgrounds. One of my most favorite and most popular interviews got over 500,000 views, and it was
Wow.
with Missy Cooper from Young Sheldon, and I got to interview her. We talked about her book, her acting career, and it was just such a like pinch me moment experience that just me talking and me enjoying interviewing other people really got me somewhere. And yeah, I've even interviewed like Lauren Norris and Ashley Loren, so I've had a great time.
You had a favorite guest? I probably shouldn't ask you that, but has it, or maybe not a
Mm,
favorite guest, but has it been like a favorite moment?
yeah, I would honestly say my favorite moment is probably a girl I met in the UK. I went to the UK when I was the National American Miss Junior Teen, and I did a workshop there. She eventually reached out to me and said, "I was so inspired by you that I want to create my own initiative, and I want to do a podcast. Is that okay?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, absolutely! This is here for, right? To inspire girls to do the same thing." So I feel like when it comes to this stuff, when people are like, "Oh, do you ever get upset that people do something similar to you?" I'm like, never, because the purpose is to bring girls out of their shell and inspire them to do good for others, right? So
Yeah.
that was definitely like a full circle moment. It's exactly what I do it for. And she reached out to me and has been doing amazing and spreading, her platform, what she believes in, all the way across the world. So my impact again is internationally. That makes my heart full. I wouldn't say I have a favorite guest only because I am so intrigued with what people do. So I've even interviewed like a smile train doctor from Mexico, and she went
Yeah.
in depth about, just what the surgeries look like, how parents feel when they know their kid is diagnosed with a cleft lip or a cleft palate, how to help them through that moment, the amount of resources that they have there for not only the kid, but the parent, and all the surgeries that they do up until 18 years old. So I think every single person I interview, I just love getting in depth
Yeah.
answers and just seeing what it's all about. And I really couldn't pick a favorite, honestly.
No, I didn't. I didn't mean for you to, because you can
No,
never pick one,
yeah.
because then immediately everyone else gets upset. Can I take you back to when you went to Puerto Rico and you were
Hmm.
giving out the supplies? What did you learn about yourself from that trip, from that moment?
Yeah, that's definitely not all about you. And at 11 years old, you feel like the whole world, and I hope this doesn't sound wrong, but the whole world revolves around you because you haven't
Yeah.
been opened to reality yet, right? It's all about I have to go to school, I have these friends, I have that. And for me, that was an out of body experience to realize it's important. We have this time on earth. It's not to spend it just only worrying about ourselves, right? The
Yeah.
important part is that we spend it with others. We make others happy, and in turn, it makes us happy. So what I learned was, giving all of these iPhones out. My aunt works for T-Mobile, so she in Puerto Rico, so she brought some iPhones or
Right.
some basic necessities so families could call their family across the island to see if they were okay. So I was like,
Yeah.
here you go. Do you want a soap? Do you want a deodorant? I was like giving them the works. And my mom was like, you love this stuff. You love making other people happy. It really is an experience like no other when you do community service, whether it's making plates, feeding people, anything like that. You feel so full and you're like, I want to keep doing this. This is great. And then talking to everyone again, I'm a talker. So I had the best time talking to the little kids. We were playing. My cousins and I had the best time just rolling around the cart and everything. So, it's not as hard as it seems. People think community service has to be this insane put together thing, but it's super simple, right? For me, I've gone to hospitals. I've just brought basic supplies or necessities they may need for kids, like stuffies or some DVD movies, and it's really fun to be a part of something that makes someone's life happier or better.
Let me ask you, because you started this, you said at your 11th birthday party.
Hmm.
And as you also just said, very often 11-year-olds don't think about anyone other than themselves. I mean, I would say it's not just 11-year-olds. I mean, I've worked with 50-year-olds who still haven't thought of anyone outside themselves.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. At the age of 11, what made you think, I don't want the birthday to be about me? Because something
Hmm.
leads up to that, right? That doesn't just happen from a coincidence. Was it your parents who had brought it up in you? Was it something? Was
Yeah.
it just a moment of inspiration? Like, why did you go at the age of 11? No, I don't want this to be about me. Let's make it about someone else.
Hmm. I think I can't pinpoint exactly what it is, but I had definitely seen either like a news interview or something, either a movie, TV show, how a kid used instead, for people to bring gifts to their birthday party to bring canned goods or money to support a
Right.
certain thing.
Yep.
So I think it was definitely influenced by some sort of either cinema or online news, which I think again, what you put out on the internet really does impact people. So someone random impacted me as an 11-year-old, and I just thought of it. And for me, I saw my cousins struggling, and not being able to
Yeah.
go to school, not being with their friends. I so I don't know, it just flipped the switch in me. It didn't feel right. So yeah, I definitely saw
Yeah.
it from someone else, and I think that again, that goes to just show how powerful social media is. What you put out there, you never know who's going to be inspired by it. It could be some random person that you've never met in your life, change their life around just because of a video you made, right? So I think that it's a great chain reaction, and I love doing that, and I love putting out what I do.
I've never been to Puerto Rico. I'm sure a lot of people
Hmm.
out there haven't been either. Tell us more about it, because you obviously have a love for it.
Yeah, it's La Isla de Encanto, so the island of enchantment. And when you arrive on the island, you literally feel it. When you cross the bridge from the airport, there's the American and the Puerto Rican flag, which signifies so much unity within the states and Puerto Rico, and how, in the end, we all are one, right? We all are human. And so, regardless, my favorite places to go, Cayo Caribe is kind of like a fast food chain in Puerto Rico, but it has paellas, mofongo, arroz con habichuela, everything Puerto Rican style. So my favorite is to go with my family, have amarillos, um, everything like that. But then also the beaches are my favorite. Specifically Vieques and Culebra, they are two small islands on the side of Puerto Rico, which still are Puerto Rican territory, but you get there by ferry. And actually, they have the most beautiful hidden beaches. So Vieques actually has wild horses, and Culebra has a ton of wild chickens. So when we were in Vieques, we were at this beautiful, like clear water beach, and the horses were just coming up right to us. We even pet a few of them. Some of them are feisty, but we pet a
Yeah.
few of them, and it was such a surreal experience. Like, this is real life. Like, this is what you do. Like, this is what Earth is about. Like, you spend all the time in the city or things like
Yeah.
that, and it's a differentiating experience when you just slow down and sit on this hidden beach with your family, play music, and a wild horse walks up to you. Like, it's my favorite place to be. And if I could go anywhere in the world all the time, it would be Puerto Rico.
So, is it a good place to kind of escape the modern world and social media and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, I would say it definitely is a good place to escape. My time in Puerto Rico, when I went and lived with my grandparents for 2 months, that was kind of my escape. I was living here
doing online school, and I actually didn't have the best gymnastics coaches. Not to harp on gymnastics too much, but when I went to Puerto Rico, it was that escape of the life I never got to have because I grew up in the States,
Yeah.
experiencing how my mom and my dad grew up, no air conditioning. It was hard. That moment of just like, this is different life. I would go to the beach on the weekend with my aunt and my uncle, and it was the best experience just understanding where I come from, why my people are the way they are. But yeah.
You will
You will
be
be
handing over
handing
your
over your
crown
crown
in a
in a
couple of
couple of
weeks.
weeks.
What's
What's
next
next
for
for
Noelia?
Noelia? As of right now, I'm a rising junior at High Point University, and sadly, I just only have 2 years left till I graduate, and I have a degree, and I'm an adult. I cannot believe it. I'll be graduating at 21 years old, so a little bit younger than the most, but I think I'm definitely going to focus on my education as of right now. Who knows? I may be sucked back into the pageant world or have a little pageant bug. It will always be in my heart, and especially because I do want to own my own couture dress store one day. I know that I'll be around a lot, coming to pageants and keeping myself involved because this is where I feel at home. This is my community. This is, where I meet people who truly feel like me. And again, like I told you, I've met my best friends through this. So I definitely will not shy away from the pageant industry if I don't come back for competing. But yeah, I'm excited to graduate with my BSBA in entrepreneurship and just shy of 2 years. And after that, I may get my master's since, again, I'm so young. But I'm looking forward to what my education has to offer and the people I get to meet and the opportunities through there.
All right, just before
Just
we
before
move
we
to
move
the
to the
final
final
10,
10,
is there
is there
anyone that you
anyone
want to
that you
give a
want to give a
shout out?
shout out? I want to give a shout out to my mom and my dad because I don't think I could have been here without them. I think in pageantry, everyone has that one or two people that have always been your rock, your support system. And I will say, like, my mom has driven me to almost every single appearance, has made sure I had all the wardrobe I need, especially while being a full time student in college. And it's such a beautiful moment I get to share with my mom. We bond over this. We get to spend more time. Even though I'm in college, a lot of kids don't get to spend as much time with their parents. I get that because I still do pageants, and she's super involved, and she's really the best. Again, I could not be where I am. I could not be the strong woman I am without her. And I have to say thank you. And to my dad, he's always, putting a little critique on my outfit. He's like, I think you need a better shoe. I'm like, okay, I got it. So he's become the pageant dad over quite the years. But yeah.
Okay. Noelle, we'll go
Noel,
to
we'll
the
go to the
final
final
10.
10.
I'm just
I'm
getting a
just
bit
getting
of
a
an
bit of an
echo, so
echo.
when
So
I'm
when I'm
talking, I'll
talking,
mute
I'll
you
mute
just
you
for
just for
the
the
mic.
mic. Okay.
But we'll go through the final 10, just random questions and have a bit of fun here. So, number one, what is your favorite word? Oh, hang on. I can't unmute you. I've muted you
You're
and I
good.
can't.
My favorite word is probably vivacious. I like to use it to describe myself. And actually, my sorority big, I use it to describe her too, because it just means full of life and always looking for something new. Again, that jittery feeling, that energy, that happiness that someone brings. And that's what I try to exude every single day is vivaciousness. And yeah, it's kind of something I live by, always reminding myself that life is very vivacious. I'm very vivacious. It's fun to say. You can hear me saying it, vivacious.
What's your least favorite word?
No. I don't like no because I'm a perfectionist. And every time I hear no, I'm more determined to get my yes. So I do not like hearing no, but I think the no is what motivates me. So maybe it's not such a bad word.
In life, what gets you excited? What turns you on?
The people I'm surrounded by. I would say like my dog gives me a lot of energy. Her name is Rika, the diva, and she keeps me going every day, like especially cuz I'm home now, I get to cuddle with her and she makes me extremely happy. Also just keeping myself creative. I have a love for painting. I get it from my grandma and my mom, and I love like making banners. I painted my little in my sorority some sorority letters with these hand painted hydrangeas on it. So I love doing stuff with my hands, again keeping me busy, and I really want to learn how to sew. I think that that'll keep me excited, and again it's always good to have a side hobby, so I'm excited for my grandma to teach me how to sew soon.
What turns you on? What about what turns you off?
I definitely say people who aren't supportive. Again, and who also want to be you. I don't think it's good to have friends who want to be you, because and then they can't support you in their full array, right? I think it's most important to find people who are different and who support you in your own ways, because then you realize, hey, we're all different, but it's beautiful that we're different, right? We celebrate our successes and things like that. So yeah, I think it's important to find a good group of friends and people who support you for who you are and don't judge you for that. That's the most important thing. And it keeps you happy too.
What sound or noise do you love?
That's such the shop my noise when my package is about to arrive to my house. I love shopping. It's a little bit bad, but or when I buy a new outfit and my credit card. The tap.
Yeah, I've had a few people answer things like that. Also, people,
Mhm.
oh, when the microwave dings because it means my food's here, or the Uber Eats thing goes off because my burger is here. It's
Yeah.
like looking at this deep and meaningful answers. Like, no, when my shopping gets to my front door, it's all good.
I can't
All right.
I've never been asked what sound I like. That's honestly, and I'll have to think about it more, but I think it is definitely like when they ring the doorbell, when my package is here, or my sound goes off. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I love the sound of the coffee machine frothing the milk because I love coffee. So
Ooh.
it doesn't have to be like deep, meaningful. It's funny.
Yeah.
That's probably the question where I've got like the most random answers. But I
Yeah.
mean, we're not done yet because like, what's a sound or noise that you hate?
Um, I don't like chewing sometimes. I definitely have like a fear of chewing. Yes,
Yeah.
that is
How do you
I
swallow
do.
your food?
Sometimes I don't like when I can hear chewing, but I think that's like a common thing. A lot of people don't. So I may get a lot of people's approval on that.
It is a fairly popular answer. I
Yeah.
will say I have a friend over in Texas and she hated the sound of chewing so much. Number one, she couldn't stand the sound of her own chewing. Number two, when she heard loud chewing, she would literally just break down and start bawling tears. And her father was a very loud chewer. So they
Yeah.
could never eat in the same room because every time he would start chewing,
Mhm.
she'd start bawling and he'd have no idea why. So you're not the only one. It seemed to be a
Yeah.
very popular, like most hated sound.
Yeah, I'm not like bad where I don't have to eat in the same room as someone, but I do like pick it out if I can. If it's around me, I pick it out.
Okay. If you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
I would have the ability to speak every single language, because I think that languages are a form of love. And especially with Spanish, I'm able to connect with so many people, like I said, with that Smile Train trip. So being able to go to any country and speak their language just would make me feel so much more in tune with their culture and their community that they build. So speak any language. And I really want to speak Chinese or Japanese, but I know that's going to be really hard for me to learn. So,
It's yeah, they're a bit different to
mhm.
Spanish and English, but you can get
Yes.
there. If you have a brain for languages, you've got a brain for languages. What job other than your own would you most like to attempt?
Hmm. Think I would like interior design. And High Point actually offers a really good program for interior design, because mostly they teach you the engineering of a home. And I think it's so interesting, especially because everyone nowadays is doing some modifications to their homes, or creating a custom home, or doing these little projects all across their home. And it's interesting how interior design takes such a big effect into the way your house feels, or an apartment. And I really like that kind of stuff, especially because I craft and I make my own things for my room. I think it would be interesting to know how, like, where's the best place to put everything, or just have a mind for that.
What job would you definitely not like to attempt?
I don't Okay, my parents are dentists, and growing up I said I wanted to be a dentist, but I
Mm.
don't think I could be a dentist, and I don't think I would enjoy it, just because it's very routine. And I've learned that for me, I enjoy my day completely different from the last, and I constantly want something new and exciting. I'm sorry, mom, dad. I know that you guys say it's an exciting job and you like it, but I can't imagine doing the same procedures over and over. And although it's a really good job, again, my sister, my mom, and my dad are dentists. I don't think I could do it.
Can I get you to ask your sister or your mum or your dad a question
Mhm,
for me? When do they learn? Okay, in dentist
mhm.
school, when do they learn to ask you a question when they have all their hands in your mouth? That's what I want to know. Without fail, every time I go
Yes.
to the dentist, he waits till he has one thing here, one thing here, five
Yeah.
hands, and then, how are you? Ah, Is this a
It happens
skill
with
that
me
you learn?
too. Even my own parents, I'll sit down or like I'm going for a cleaning and my mom's like, "How was your day today?" I'm like, and then you like look around,
Right.
you're like, when do I answer? But yeah,
You,
I would probably do the same thing if I were a dentist because I'm super talkative. So I would never be able to like not ask someone something. But then you forget that, they have appliances in their mouth. I think my mom is like, she's as talkative as me. So it's probably that.
I was just sure that they do it on purpose as some kind of joke because they wait until anyway. My trauma aside, final question: if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Everything went according to plan. Like basically like everything that I did in my life was fulfilled. Everything that I was meant to do, that I was put on this earth to do was fulfilled. Because for me, I always go by the saying, what is meant for you will never pass you by. And saying that, God always has that plan. You really have to trust it, even when you're said no. Like, I don't like the word no, but I have always used that saying to remind myself that there is a bigger plan. And if I arrive to heaven or whatever, and God says, you know, you fulfilled everything or everything has been done, I would feel super fulfilled with my life and that my purpose or what I was meant to do was fulfilled.
Well, Noe, we made it happen. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I'll keep you on the line for just a sec whilst I hang out with the audience. But thanks everyone for watching, and we will speak to you next time. Bye for
Awesome.
now.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you're a competitive pageant girl and you're after some high performance pageant coaching, make sure to come and check us out at thepageantproject.com, where you can start your journey for free. In the meantime, follow us on all our socials at The Pageant Project. Speak to you next time.